The recent court ruling has sent shockwaves through the political landscape, marking a significant setback for Donald Trump's tariff policies. On Friday, a federal appeals court delivered a decisive blow, determining that Trump had exceeded his presidential authority when he imposed punitive tariffs on nearly every nation worldwide. In a notable 7-4 decision, the Washington, D.C. court clarified that while U.S. presidential was definitely exceeding his authority. Law grants the president considerable power to respond to declared national emergencies. It does not extend to the imposition of tariffs or taxes. This ruling raises the stakes, as the ultimate determination regarding the legality of Trump's tariffs, originally based on questionable economic theories, will likely be made by the U.S. Supreme Court. So, what exactly did the court strike down? The ruling specifically addressed the tariffs that Trump announced on April 2nd, a day he dubbed Liberation Day. These tariffs established a baseline of 10% on virtually all of America's trading partners, along with additional reciprocal tariffs aimed at countries he accused of unfair trade practices. For instance, the small African nation of Lesotho, home to just 2.3 million people, faced a staggering 50% tariff. In a bizarre twist, Trump even imposed a 10% tariff on a group of uninhabited islands known for their penguin populations. The court found these tariffs to be excessively broad in scope, amount, and duration, stating that they represented an overreach of authority that surpassed the explicit limitations set by the law under which they were enacted. Typically, tariffs require congressional approval, but Trump argued that he was empowered to impose them under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA, which allows the president to regulate international transactions during a national emergency. However, the court expressed skepticism, stating, "It seems unlikely that Congress intended in enacting IEEPA to depart from its past practice and grant the president unlimited authority to impose tariffs." In February, Trump had invoked the same law to impose tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China, claiming that the influx of undocumented immigrants and drugs across the U.S. border constituted a national emergency that necessitated action from these countries. So, are the tariffs gone for good? Not just yet. The court upheld a previous ruling from May by a federal trade court in New York that deemed Trump's tariffs illegal. However, Friday's decision did not immediately eliminate the tariffs. Instead, it allowed them to remain in place until October 14th. This gives the Trump administration time to appeal to the predominantly conservative U.S. Supreme Court, which will ultimately decide whether Trump has the legal authority to alter U.S. trade policy in such a manner. What does this mean for Trump's broader trade agenda? The government has warned that if the tariffs are ultimately struck down, it may need to refund a significant amount of the import taxes collected, which could have serious financial implications for the U.S. Treasury. By July, revenue from these tariffs had reached $159 billion, more than double the amount collected at the same time the previous year. The Justice Department cautioned in a recent legal filing that revoking the tariffs could lead to financial ruin for the United States. This ruling could also complicate Trump's ability to impose tariffs in the future. While he does have alternative legal avenues for imposing import tariffs, these options would limit both the speed and extent of his actions. A previous ruling indicated that Trump has restricted authority to impose tariffs aimed at addressing trade deficits under the Trade Act of 1974, which caps tariffs at 15% and limits their duration to 150 days for countries with which the U.S. has significant trade deficits. How has Trump reacted to this setback? Unsurprisingly, he is not pleased. On Friday evening, he took to social media, sharing numerous posts that criticized the court's ruling. In a statement on his own platform, Trump labeled the decision as the work of a highly partisan appeals court. He expressed his belief that if these tariffs were to be eliminated, it would spell disaster for the nation, asserting, if allowed to stand, this decision would literally destroy the United States of America. Despite the tariffs often resulting in increased costs for everyday Americans, Trump maintains that they are the best tool to support U.S. workers. However, the tariffs have also contributed to global economic uncertainty and heightened fears of inflation. What do you think about the court's ruling? Do you agree with the decision? Or do you believe Trump should have the authority to impose tariffs as he sees fit? Share your thoughts in the comments.